Smith if he'd come give our afternoon prayer.
Eternal Father, we ask you to bless us and give us grace and strength as we begin a new year. We ask you to bless each and every last one of the city councilmen and the mayor and all of them that makes the decision for the citizen of this town. In the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ of Nazareth, let it be a prosperous year. In thy Son's name I pray. Thank God. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Smith. Good to have you with us. I call this meeting to order. Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Yes, sir. Mayor Johnson.
Here.
City Attorney Stevenson.
Here.
City Treasurer Martin.
Here.
Councilor Robinson.
Present.
Councilor Catt. Here. Councilor Pulliam. Here. Councilor Taylor.
Here.
Councilor Harris.
Here.
Councilor McClendon.
Present.
Councilor Mundy.
Here.
Councilor Holt. Here. Councilor Croom.
Here.
And Councilor Hutchison. Here. Full house, sir. 10 out of 10.
Moving on, as we have bid openings on West Memphis Utilities tree trimming. If you have reviewed those, would you give me a motion to refer them to utility for acceptance of this position?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor by aye? Aye. Opposed, they are referred. You have a copy of the minutes. Are there any conditions or corrections?
Motion to approve is submitted.
Second.
Motion second to approve. All in favor by aye?
Aye.
Opposed, they are approved. We had no items of old business brought forward. We had no items of new business brought out. I have no permission request to make. Under committee reports, we have Public Works.
Yes, sir. Public Works has met twice since our last meeting. On 12/21, we reviewed the bids for our material supply contract for crushed limestone gravel. We accepted the low bid from Lafarge of $17.75 a ton. For asphalt, we accepted the low bid from Lehman Roberts Company of $66.50 per ton. And for concrete, the low bid was, and only bid, was Razorback Concrete. Standard mix is $121.83 per cubic yard, and the high early mix was $129.58 per cubic yard. That was all of our business for that meeting. We met again on January the 2nd. That we received the recycling report for December was 14,280 pounds. The total recycling amount for 2018 was 171,700 pounds. Under the city engineer's report on Hino Bridge, we'll be opening bids on January the 17th. For the South Loop, the design engineering contract is still at the Arkansas Department of Transportation for review. And on the Lear Street Bridge, the Arkansas Department of Transportation is starting the design engineering and environmental review. It won't begin until 2019 is the expectation. Ms. Robinson, did you want to report on?
All right, Keep West Memphis Beautiful, along with community service workers during the month of November and a little bit of December, we picked up just a little bit more than 300 bags of leaves. Most of those were picked up at the James Hightower Park and here at City Hall. And I do have one more little young gentleman. We're going to complete cleaning City Hall this weekend if the weather permits. I was sick over the Christmas holidays, didn't do anything, and the weather was so inclement.
And in an effort to support the Keep West Memphis Beautiful effort that Ms. Robinson leads, we also did some discussion about adding another full-time code enforcement officer. And that concludes my report.
Okay. And that concludes the reports unless I've missed something.
Mayor,
Yes.
I got a question I want to ask. Probably can get a little clarity. I was looking at this bid right here, and what do that all consist of for us, that area trimming at $514,000? I know it's coming from the utility, but what does that consist of? Cutting trees out the lines, or this bid right here? Todd, can you get on that?
Todd's here.
Only I was noticing that the people that bidded on it was so far away Texas, and so I was just trying to find out what type of work is that we got to bring in someone that far away and no one locally.
Okay, what that includes, it's actually, it was sent out to 4 bidders and 2 of them did not, other bidders did not. If you notice, the Wolf Tree, I think, is out of Little Rock. Is that good?
Knoxville.
Knoxville, and then there's another one that we sent to out of Little Rock, and they did not, Apple Tree, they did not bid either. But what it consists of is 30 miles of lines primary overhead lines. This past year, we did the areas on the southeast portion of the city, and we're going to start making our rotations through the other parts. What that allows us to do, it keeps outages down and keeps we trim 10 feet off of the line, the outside phase, or if it's a single phase off the pole, each side.
Do your department are capable of doing this?
We have, but not to the extent that is, we do not have the staffing to do that amount. 30 miles of line is quite large. They bring in large equipment and major, and I can tell you, just we're going to be denying those bids. It came in higher than we expected, and we will be rebidding that.
Okay.
But that would be our recommendation to the commission, because we felt that the bids would come in much lower than that based on previous bid numbers, and so those bids will be getting denied anyway.
Yeah, I seen that number. I said me and Tracy were going to start as a tree trimming company.
Okay, thank you, Todd. Any other questions? We're moving on. I have no appointments. Anybody have any announcements?
Yes, I can make one. Police Commission and the Public Works going to have a joint meeting together sometime this month after we come back, I guess, from the municipal league.
Okay.
Mayor, just remind everyone, budget hearings today at 4.
What's it for?
Today will be the utility department and public works.
Okay. All right. Citizens request, we have a Mr. Mayhew that signed up. Is he here? Come forward to the microphone and give your name and address and your request. And we traditionally allow 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, City of the Council. Yes, I'm coming requesting that I recently got hired back at the utility company. I've been there 7 years prior. Oh, excuse me. My name is Wendell Mayhew. My address is 28 Candy Cove, Marion, Arkansas. I'm further employed at the West Memphis Utilities. Okay, my request is that I receive my time back, because usually when you leave the utility department, it's grandfathered in that if you're gone less than a year, you will receive all time back prior. I was notified by the utility department. They were shorthanded in the water and wastewater department. And I talked to the foreman before they hired me back, and he said that I would receive my time back. And once I got hired back, I was already employed, but once I got hired back, it was denied through the HR and the general manager.
Excuse me, sir, your time back, are you referring to back pay?
Ma'am?
Or are you referring to back pay or starting at the same status you were when you left?
No, ma'am, everything was paid. It was, if you leave on good standards like I did, and if you came back within less than 12 months, all time that occurred, the 6, 7, 8 years or however long you was there, you receive back instead of starting over from ground and build your way back up.
Right.
And being that I had been there 7 years prior, I left for about 8 months, and the foreman told me that I would receive all my time back.
You talking about vacation time, sick time, and all that?
Yes, sir. Time and grade. And if I had known that I wasn't going to receive it back, I had a job prior to it, and it just knocked me farther on down.
So in other words, you're like a rehire now, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. That's where they want to put me now.
Okay.
So how many years do you have that you're asking for reinstatement?
7 years.
7 years?
Well, it would be 8 years last year.
And you were gone for what, 8 months?
Yes, sir.
John?
Ms. Coleman is here. I would like for her to come forth and give the policy, what the policy say in reference to that. Because there are some instances where we let certain departments, come back and what's for promotion, one grade down. So I just like to know what the policy procedures say on that, and that way, we can probably get to the bottom of this, Ms. Coleman.
And to add, I guess, would this come through the personnel committee? That was my concern. And I'll go ahead and let you
Or
speak.
utility commission.
Well,
Right.
one of the
Before
things-
coming to us,
Well, of course, he should have followed protocol, but at the same time, I'm just wondering what the policy and procedures say with that department, you know? But that's where you should have took it before you came here, actually, through the utility.
I did, sir.
Okay.
I went from my,
Wait a minute, we got
Foreman.
3 or 4 people talking, and there's no way to pick it up.
We good. I just like Ms. Coleman to let us know what the policy and the procedures say on that, you know? In reference to, you know.
I'm just trying to get it together here.
Okay, no
But I
problem.
can speak briefly about it. Excuse me. Okay. And yes, Mr. Mayhew did come and speak with me about that situation. I will tell you that currently now, we do not have a policy in place that states that an employee, if they've been rehired within a certain amount of time, that they would get those benefits back. We do not, but we do have a policy that states that once they leave, if they've been with the city for over 20 years, then they will get their sick time paid. Any employee who has accumulated time will be paid for vacation at the bare minimum. But currently, we do not have a policy that states that if you've been with the city and you were rehired under a specified amount of time, then you know, they would come on as a rehire.
Ms. Coleman,
Yes, sir.
have we ever had this incident happen before in the record of anyone ever leaving before?
We have had employees leave and come back since I've been here, and none of them have ever received their time back. There may have been some in the past, but since I've been here, that was my understanding, that was the policy within the city.
James?
Well, that's one of the things I would like, you know, that's why we hired an HR person, to look into what the policy procedure is. And I would go and look at some of the other departments as well and just see, because, I mean, of course, again, when you said the department head, but you should have spoke with HR, I think, you know, you really got the logistic thing when you first came in. But I'd like for Ms. Coleman to go back and just take a look. I mean, and I think you need to get with Ms. Coleman on this and see what we can get squared away, because if it's not in the policy procedure, then I don't know anything that we can really do. City Attorney.
Certainly, yeah, I trust Ms. Coleman to know more about that at present than I do, certainly, and I take her advice many times on HR decisions, but this one we had not discussed, so
Yeah.
I'd be happy for her to, if she knows more, can find out more, that'd be fine.
Okay. Any other questions for me?
yes, sir. One other thing, the only reason why I brought to the attention was because it's been several other guys prior to me leaving that to receive their time back. And what makes it so bad, they got a raise when they did come back in their vacation all at one time.
I have a question. I'd like to ask Todd, since he's been here, have anybody left and came back and got their time back? I'd like to ask Todd that.
Can I just say one thing? You know, first of all, I think we all need to be cautious about some of the questions that we are asking before we get in this. You know, we don't actually know where this is going. And that's why we hired an HR person, and I think our HR person should look into this, and then we go from there on. I don't think we should really just keep this going on the floor. We really shouldn't.
I agree with James. I think we ought to go back to personnel, kind of let her take care of it, not through this meeting here.
Thank you.
And then report back.
I certainly support the HR director in this endeavor. She's spent a lot of time on it and has come up with a recommendation, and she finds there is no policy at the present time. And I kind of don't know what has happened in the past either. Anything else to come up today? How about that motion and second to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
All in favor by aye.
Aye.
Opposed?